Meghan Markle's Hollywood career is over. Her brother just said it publicly. Netflix is scrambling for content, and the most shocking part? While her 81-year-old father recovered from a leg amputation in a Philippine hospital, Meghan sent him a letter, not of support, but of abuse. This isn't speculation. This is documented, and it reveals everything about where the Sussexes stand right now. Sources told the Daily Express that Meghan would return to the UK, quote, for the right price, that she'd hold her tongue and curtsy lower to Kate if the money was right, that she's premeditated and in it for her children's future. But here's the contradiction. Rob Shooter's sources say the exact opposite. Meghan has zero intention of returning. When Harry lobbied for royal protection to enable UK trips, Meghan's response was somewhere between doesn't care and actively saying no. So which is it? The truth is simpler than both narratives suggest. Meghan wants the option, the leverage without the commitment. She wants to be able to threaten a return for Netflix content while never actually having to face the British public that despises her. Meanwhile, Harry's sources paint a different picture entirely. They claim he's building a rival royal court in the UK, that he wants to compete with William, that the security decision is just the first domino in establishing Sussex-branded operations from a London base. This is fantasy, pure delusion. You can't abandon the royal family for 7 years, trash them in interviews and a memoir, and then waltz back to create a parallel monarchy. William won't allow it, the British public won't tolerate it, and the government won't fund it.
Besides, Thomas Markle Jr. didn't mince words. I don't think there's anybody in Hollywood that's ever going to hire her again. Nobody's going to touch that brand. Whatever it touches dies. He's right. Look at the evidence. The Spotify deal collapsed. The Netflix content has been underwhelming. The American Riviera Orchard launch was a disaster. Lifestyle products that never materialized, jam that became a meme, and PR stunts that fell flat. Every major figure who initially associated with the Sussexes has quietly distanced themselves. The A-list invitations dried up. The endorsements never came. Hollywood operates on one principle: return on investment. Meghan Markle is now seen as a liability, not an asset. And here's why Netflix is desperate. They paid tens of millions for content that depends on royal proximity. Without access to the royal family, without UK footage, without the drama of reconciliation, what's left? Cooking shows and lifestyle content that nobody wants from someone perceived as inauthentic. The Express reported that Netflix wants to follow the prodigal son and his wife return to English soil. But that only works if the return actually happens. If Meghan refuses, Netflix has no content. If Harry goes alone, it confirms their marriage is failing. Either way, the optics are catastrophic. And this is where the story becomes genuinely disturbing. Thomas Markle, 81 years old, just had his left leg amputated. He's in a hospital in Cebu, Philippines, trying to comprehend what his life will look like now. He's vulnerable, he's scared, he's alone. Then the hospital president walks into his physiotherapy session with a lawyer. No warning. Thomas is mid-session, his amputated leg exposed. They tell him he must sign legal documents confirming he's receiving a letter from his daughter. The handover will be videotaped. The video will be sent to Meghan. Caroline Graham, the Mail on Sunday journalist who actually flew to be by Thomas's bedside when his own daughter refused, described the scene. She covered his amputated leg with a sheet to preserve his dignity. Thomas was physically trembling. For 4 hours, he was too scared to open the envelope, worried it might contain bad news. When he finally opened it, the letter wasn't supportive. It wasn't an offer of reconciliation. It was Meghan setting out her feelings about their media interviews, essentially berating him for speaking publicly about their relationship after she cut him off completely. Think about the cruelty of that. Your daughter hasn't spoken to you in years. She didn't come when you had a heart attack before her wedding. She didn't visit when you had a stroke. Now you've lost your leg, and the first communication you receive is a lecture about your behavior delivered via lawyers and cameras while you're at your most vulnerable. Thomas Markle Jr. said his father felt like he'd been spit on and kicked. And here's the kicker. Meghan briefed the media about the letter. Thomas told no one about its contents, but Meghan's team leaked it to the Times, ensuring the story played out publicly on her terms. This is someone who calls herself a humanitarian, someone who won a humanitarian award weeks ago, someone who preaches compassion and mental health awareness. Yet she treats her own father, the man who raised her, paid for everything, wrote letters about how much he adored her, with calculated cruelty at his lowest point. On the other hand, Archie and Lilibet are being raised in the strangest possible circumstances. They're officially prince and princess of a country their parents teach them to hate. They can't show their faces in public. Photos of them have hearts and balloons covering their features. They know nothing about the royal family they're technically part of. Harry claims he wants them educated the English way, despite hating his own English education. He talks about bringing them to the UK for visits, despite Meghan apparently refusing to let them go. These children are being used as pawns in a game they don't understand and can't consent to. What happens when they're teenagers? When Archie realizes he could have been close to his grandfather, King Charles? When Lilibet discovers she was named after Queen Elizabeth but never met her? When they Google their parents and find years of public attacks on the family they're part of? The psychological damage being done here is immeasurable. They're being raised in isolation from half their heritage, told conflicting stories about their identity, and kept from family members who would welcome them if given the chance. Speaking of royal disasters, Prince Andrew was cleared again by the Metropolitan Police, but the timing and process were grotesque. Virginia Giuffre's family was emailed at 10:12 a.m. on Friday, asking if they had evidence to present. By 2:03 p.m. on Saturday, the Met issued a statement saying there was no evidence of criminality. The family hadn't even had time to respond. A detective asked if they wanted to present evidence, then the case was closed before they could reply. They lost a family member to suicide, and they're being treated like an administrative inconvenience. Whether you believe Andrew is guilty or not, this process was disrespectful and rushed. The family deserved time to respond, to understand the findings, to be treated like human beings who lost someone they loved. Here's what's really happening. Harry and Meghan's exit strategy failed. They thought they could monetize royal status from California, maintain privacy while cornering publicity, and control their narrative through carefully managed media. None of it worked. Meghan can't return to the UK without facing the consequences of years of attacks on the royal family and the British public. Harry can't stay in California without confronting the purposelessness of his existence and the failure of his marriage to provide what he thought it would. So they're trapped. Meghan wants royal status without royal obligation. Harry wants royal protection without royal obligation. Netflix wants royal content without royal cooperation. And the British public wants nothing to do with any of it. The briefing wars between their camps reveal the dysfunction. If they were united, they'd have a consistent message. Instead, we get contradictory leaks about whether Meghan will return, whether Harry is building a rival court, whether the children will be educated in Britain, whether the marriage is even functional. Thomas Markle's treatment crystallizes everything wrong with how Meghan operates. She needs control. She needs to win. She can't show vulnerability or admit mistakes. So even when her father is at his most vulnerable, she can't offer basic human kindness without conditions and legal protections and video evidence.
This is someone who destroyed her relationship with her father, isolated Harry from his family, burned bridges with friends and staff, and now finds herself in California with a failing career, a dysfunctional marriage, and children she's raising in a bubble that will eventually burst. The Meghan and Harry story isn't a fairy tale gone wrong. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when ambition, victimhood, and narcissism combine. When you treat family as transactional, when you burn every bridge assuming you'll never need to cross back. Hollywood sees through it, the British public sees through it, and increasingly the American public sees through it too. The only question left is how long they can maintain the facade before it collapses entirely.